Hi, I'm Vivu, and I'm going to talk about new innovations in rocket propulsion. So the first thing I want to talk about is chemical rockets, and these are kind of like the standard way of propulsion currently used for space travel. They work by generating thrust from a highly pressurized gas that's generated from a chemical reaction, and most new innovation revolves around experimenting with new kind of fuels. So one example of this is Raptor, which is a new type of engine from SpaceX that burns methane for fuel and uses oxygen as an oxidizer. And this is cool because it generates more thrust, allowing us to carry like heavier payloads. And they're also more fuel efficient. So the next type of innovation I'm going to talk about is fission thermal rockets. And they're kind of similar to chemical rockets where they generate thrust from a lot of pressure from a reaction. But in fission, the reaction comes from nuclear fission. And nuclear fission thermal rockets usually generate less thrust than chemical rockets, but they are a lot more efficient. And once you're actually in space. So the main problem it has is kind of escaping Earth's atmosphere, but once it's in space, they're super efficient and outperform chemical rockets significantly. And an example of this is like the space flight from Earth to Mars. In a chemical rocket, the time is estimated to be 7 months, whereas with the nuclear fission rocket, it's estimated to be about 3 months. And a big challenge, there are a couple of big challenges with rockets. The first is safety. If one of these go wrong, it can generate a lot of environmental damage at the launch site. And another problem is these are really big. Nuclear fusion reactors are typically like massive. So space companies like NASA have been working towards making smaller reactors, and NASA is actually developing one that's smaller than a human adult. And the last new innovation I'm going to talk about today is electric propulsion. And this is typically how we see spaceflight in kind of movies and TVs, where thrust is generated by accelerating a bunch of charged ions through an electric field and firing them up off of a thruster. Electric propulsion usually uses a heavy gas that can be easily charged. Xenon is a common example of this. And the cool thing about electrical propulsion is it typically uses solar power and has solar cells that power the reactor. At the moment, NASA is developing a high power electric system to develop a lunar gateway, which is basically an outpost that's supposed to orbit the moon. And it's gonna launch this new system with just electric propulsion. So this is the article where I pulled my information, and this is the end of my video. Thank you for listening.